Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Earwax. I'm Colin, and today we're going to be doing a review of the brand new Better Lovers album, Highly Irresponsible. Alright, guys, so this is the brand new debut EP from Supergroup featuring former members of Every Time I Die and Dillinger Escape Plan, and then Will Putnoy from Fit for an Autopsy. So I am a huge Every Time I Die fan. I got into them right around when Gutter Phenomenon was released, saw them at Warped Tour, and then just like absolutely fell in love and have been a pretty dedicated fan ever since. So when they broke up, I was pretty disappointed. I mean, I get the turmoil within the band, specifically between the brothers of Jordan and Keith Buckley. So I was really excited when this was announced and that Jordan and Steve and Clayton were going to be doing a new project with Greg Picaido, one of the longest serving vocalists of the Dillinger Escape Plan. And when they released their first single about a year ago, I want to say maybe a little bit over a year ago, I was definitely hooked. I was very much excited. They released an EP that was fantastic, but it took them until now to actually release this full-length album. Now, I will say this definitely leans heavier into the Every Time I Die sound over the Dillinger Escape Plan sound, but there's definitely some elements of both, and you do get some of like the raw deathcore technicality that Will definitely brings from his, stint in Fit for an Autopsy. So before we get into the track list and my thoughts on the music itself, let's talk about the physical release. So first off, this came in about a week and a half after the album was released. Now, that's not terrible, but it's not great. I feel like in today's day and age, you can definitely get a physical release out sooner. This particular pressing is still available online. It's the tan and red splatter, which I do think works really well, especially with the album artwork of, someone playing around with fireworks and having it not go their way. It definitely gives an exploding flesh kind of feel. I do really like the actual sleeve and the packaging. So it's that kind of soft, almost matte feel, like real paper feel. It doesn't have a gloss or a shine to it. And I do really like that in records. I'm not sure why. Obviously, got the front cover here. The back, you've got the track list on firecrackers, fireworks, which I think is pretty cool, leaning more into the theme of the album and the artwork. On the inside, you've got this really cool image as well, with the lyrics printed directly on the inside. And then you've got an insert. So you've got Highly Responsible, band members, credits, stuff like that. And then on this side, you've got a fold-in. Oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't even notice that. I thought it was just another like artwork, but apparently it's a fold-in. So that's kind of cool. I'm not actually gonna do it. I like leaving stuff like this pretty much untouched, just like leave it as part of the package. But I do like that they've got some kind of fun, you can stand it up and stuff. So, but yeah, and then apart from that, you've got the record itself. So, got a, pretty standard quality inner sleeve. You do have the nice, plastic lining, which is good. It's a little bit higher quality than some of just like the straight up paper. So it's a good enough inner sleeve. I'll probably leave it for now. I am out of static free inner sleeves at the moment. And then again, this is the tan and red splatter with the two different labels on either side. I like it a lot. I think it fits really well with the theme of the album. I'm not necessarily a collector that is always going to go for like the most exclusive or the, most expensive pressing of an album. I like ones where the color and the theme of it fits better with the actual theme of the album, and I think this does super well. As far as the actual sound quality goes, it's a little low, just volume wise, which I don't love. I shouldn't have to turn my speakers all the way up to get the same like volume level as some other records, but it's crisp, it's clean. 5 tracks on each side, so nothing crazy. But it's a good sounding record. No skips, no cracks, no pops, anything like that. This pressing is still available, so if you want it, go ahead and pick it up off their website. But yeah, that's going to be it for the physical release. Let's talk about the album itself. So overall, like I mentioned, this definitely feels more like a continuation of Every Time I Die and has got more elements in there of that sound than like either Dillinger Escape Plan or Fit for an Autopsy. But you definitely hear elements of it throughout, especially like with Greg's vocals. I mean, they fit so well, and his vocal style is so unique within like the hardcore metalcore scene. And I think especially with what feels like Jordan Buckley's kind of driving style for the guitar work. It's a really nice combination. So the album opens up with Lie Between the Lines. This is a great little opening track. It definitely kind of sets you up for, or sets up your expectations on like what you come to expect for the album. The first thing you notice right away is Greg's vocals. This like signature mix of clean and unclean singing and clean and unclean vocals is just front and center. The guitar work is chaotic. It's messy, but also really tight at the same time. You've got like these really screeching, wailing highs mixed with like some lower chugs. The rhythm section is phenomenal. I mean, it's the Every Time I Die rhythm section. It's always been good. And then you definitely get some of like the heavier, chugging from more of the kind of deathcore side that Will brings in. There's a fun little solo in the middle even, and it's just again a really cool way to open up the album. And then it goes from that into the short, fast, sweet song Your Misplaced Self. This is a really good combination of like thrash and like straight up New York hardcore. I definitely get some metalcore vibes off of this, but like the speed of which they're playing and a lot of like this like guitar style and drumming style like is very thrashy. Again, more just like beautiful, beautiful examples of why Greg Picato is one of the best vocalists in this scene. And then from there, we get into A White Horse Covered in Blood, which might be one of my favorite track names of any song to come out this year. This one it tones it down just a little bit, so you get less of like the chaotic mathcore, New York hardcore style you got on the previous two songs. There's almost some like alt metal, borderline like new metal butt rock vibes on this, especially in Greg's vocals. Not as much unclean singing throughout this or screaming throughout this. It's pretty much entirely clean singing. It's still a good song. It's fun. I use the term butt rock in a very loving manner, and it's a nice kind of transition from the high octane, metal of the previous two songs. But don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of great, great guitar parts, and there's still a lot of great, great instrumentation throughout this. The breakdown in the middle of the song is incredible. It's probably one of the best on the entire album. And it's a really fun track, and showing how like they're still able to be pretty versatile with their style and sound within this new project that they've created. The guitar tones in this are really familiar sounding, especially if you're an Every Time I Die fan, but it also sounds fresh and new and like its own thing. The drums are phenomenal, and the outro on this is just absolutely killer. And then we get into Future Myopia, which again, some more blast beats on the drums, some more chaos, like driving, pounding guitars. And then it does slow down a little bit in the middle. You get some like really kind of bass driven breakdown with some really eerie guitars and vocals, and it works really well. Next is Deliver Us From Life, which slows it down a little bit more. I really like this song. I think for the fifth track, pretty much like the halfway point of the album, the ending of side one, if you will, it is a nice kind of breath of fresh air. Again, slows down. It's a little groovy, a little jammy. I get some like pretty strong Deftones vibes off of this. And again, more just like straight up clean singing. The instrumentation is phenomenal. Like the skill throughout this album is just front and center. You can tell that all of these guys are incredibly talented musicians. Definitely a nice like kind of midway point to get you into the back half of the album, which I think is even stronger than the first. because after this, we get into Drowning in a Burning World. And this song is batshit. I mean, it's got this like driving, chaotic, sweeping intro. The drums are just pounding and present. The bass keeps everything grounded, but keeps the song driving along. There's a really killer breakdown in this as well. Some of like Greg's best screams on the entire album are on this song, and it's just again after the kind of break we just had, just kicks us right back into gear and reminds you that this is a New York hardcore album that you're listening to. After that is probably my favorite song on the album, which was Everything Was Put Here For Me. The chorus for this song is so catchy. Like, even if you don't really likes screaming vocals, or you're one of those people that likes it but usually can't make out what they're saying, the lyrics for this song, for the chorus, will get stuck in your head and you'll find yourself singing or screaming along to it just randomly over the next few days after hearing it for the first time. The drums are kind of, again, more chaotic and all over the place, but still within tempo and work very well. You're getting some of that kind of mathcore signature in here. Guitars switch between wailing and rhythmic very seamlessly, and it's just such a fun song, and definitely one that I'm like is gonna keep bringing me back in over and over and over again. In my 3 listens so far, this is the one that I find myself like singing along and humming along to the most. After that is Superman Died Paralyzed. This is more like of the mashup of thrash and metalcore, hardcore. You've got some more, blast beats on the drums, some more really fast-paced chaotic guitar work. Bass is just pulsing right along. The vocals, again, more seamless maneuvering between the clean and unclean, and it's just a beautiful chaotic symphony of sound. This one, even like there's points where Greg's vocals have a very like heavy metal, almost 80s thrash kind of vibe to them, which I'm digging a lot. I think it fits super well in the theme of this song. And then this has probably one of, if not the most brutal breakdown on the entire album. And then we get into the last 2 songs. So the second to last song is At All Times. This is another slower track, more ballad-esque, I guess, for a hardcore band. Definitely some great, instrumentation. The guitar does pick up at certain points, but it's still very laid back, very jammy, very groovy. Greg's vocals definitely, stay more within a mild range here. There's some like pretty strong alt metal vibes that I'm getting throughout this. And I think this song in particular really showcases the rhythm section, like the drums and bass guitar just shine throughout the majority of this track. They really like drive it along, but also keep it, nice and grounded. And then lastly is Love as an Act of Rebellion, which is, I think, a cool way to end the album because it's kind of a combination of like every sound they've touched on since. It really feels like a signature that they're leaving on this, their first like full-length debut album. It's, it's a little chaotic, little fast, has got some slower parts, got a mix of the clean and unclean singing. Overall, I think this album's a lot of fun. I think it's definitely catered to Every Time I Die fans, and I think that there's going to be a lot of crossover appeal to Dillinger Escape Plan and Fit for an Autopsy fans, and just anyone that's a fan of like hardcore, metalcore, anything within that range. You're going to have a really good time with this album. It is brought down a little bit for me just by like some of the issues I have with the physical release, but still overall one of my favorites of the year. I'm feeling a solid A- across the board on every aspect of this release. Definitely go check it out if you haven't. If you have, let me know what you think down in the comments. And as always, I'll talk to you later. Peace.